Hey everyone, I'm continuing my talk on my John Maxwell and my immigrant experience. So today in Canada, there's a lot of anti-Semitism that's taking place with the war in Israel, and unfortunately it is also affecting my area. Lawrence and Bathurst has a big Jewish community, and it's not far from me. It's about 3 blocks from where I live. We've had deaths of young men who are training to become rabbis. We've had Starbucks with red paint thrown on it, people being called killers. And the Jewish community are an important part of our community here in Canada. It's unacceptable. It shouldn't be allowed. When first they'll start with the Jews, then they'll go to the Muslims, then they'll go to the Hindus, then they'll go to the Catholics. And if we don't speak up, nothing is going to change. It's very, very frightening, and it's very, very disturbing. For me, when I started doing all my events for WITS, when I started putting events together, when I started organizing things, it was the Jewish community that came out to support me. There was me, and there was one black member of our community, Olasanu, I think that's how you say his name. And the rest was the Jewish community. Nobody else came. I sent invites to everybody. WITS sent invites to everyone from South Africa. Goodman's gave us a room to have our first meeting, and they were very generous. They provided drinks and cheese and snacks. But all of our events that we organized were supported first by the Jewish community. And it's very sad to see what's happening. As much as the church calls for a 2-party state and all this in Israel, unless the Hamas issue is dealt with first, and unless that is tackled in a responsible way, things are not going to change, because it was an unprovoked attack. And I know they say, oh well, what about this, what about that? But we have to focus on what's happening now. Many of us are working at home. The other day I was sitting at my desk and there was a light knocking on the door. I don't open the door. Ever since I had my harassment case and the police told me, don't open the door, keep your door locked, I keep it locked and I don't answer. I just stay in and do my work, because when people are coming to see me, they have appointments. My unit is very safe. I live in a safe neighborhood by and large. And if people are coming to see me, we are informed way in advance. We will be entering your unit. This is the date. This is the time. This is the reason. If people are coming to visit me, it's set up way in advance. So I don't open the door. I keep the door locked at all times. And with these types of incidents happening now against our Jewish community, it's very, very disturbing. It's very disturbing and very frightening. We all want to be able to worship in peace. I mean, I trained to be a spiritual director. So if they can attack people who are training to become Jewish leaders, what's going to stop them from attacking me? I wear my rosary. I don't wear it outside most of the time, but I wear my rosary. I have my rosary on me. So, and these rosaries that I have one that my grandmother gave me, but it's very, very old now. And it's, the cross has the pearl behind it is falling apart. So these rosaries of mine are precious to me, and I wear them not only for a symbol of protection, but because they keep me close to the Lord. Our religious symbols are important to us, and we should be able to wear them. And we should be able to display them. That I wear mine on the inside. I always have my scapular or my rosary or a cross with a chain with a cross. I always wear something. And it's unacceptable. You look at what's happening in our workplaces today. Like when I was removed off the Sprint campaign. When we started at Teleperformance, it used to be fun. We used to have a blast. We had big TV screens when we worked in the office, and we used to have the cricket on or the basketball or whatever big events were happening. We used to have it on and we used to work together. We used to have our music on at some times. And the one time this guy called in and he said, "You guys sound like you're having a party over there. Are you doing any work?" I said, "Yeah, we are working, but we are allowed to have our music on." And he's like, "No, that should not be allowed." And I thought it was funny. I started laughing. And he said, "I'm not joking. Who's your manager? I want you taken off that job." I was like, "Oh, wow." And he said, "I don't even want you taken off that job. I want you removed from the company." I said, "But all of us are listening to the music." He's like, "All of you should lose your jobs." I was like, oh my God. Anyway, he did get me off that campaign. And it was one of the toughest campaigns. It was the Sprint campaign. Sprint is internet service providers where you get people calling about their bills and they're upset, and you have to know your customer, you have to know who you're dealing with, you have to know their monthly bills, you have to know how the cycle changes, you have to know the breakdown, you have to know how to set up their phones, you have to know where roaming charges apply, you have to know how to do the returns. It was a tough campaign, very, very tough. And my managers cried. When I told them what happened, my managers fought to keep me on that campaign, but they couldn't. And they told me, they said, "He's threatening to get you not just removed from the job, but removed from the company." I said, "But that's not fair." And they're like, "We know it's not fair. We told him." So out of all the people in the office, I got removed from that campaign. And that campaign, they used to pay us overtime because nobody wanted to work overtime because it was so stressful. Plus, they used to give us gift cards. So if you worked 4 hours of overtime, you'd get a $25 Visa gift card that you could spend. So we used to do it, and we used to put up our Christmas trees, we used to decorate the office, and we were a close-knit team on our campaign. My managers were devastated, and this seems to be happening to me in Canada over and over. It started at TD. TD had implemented this John Maxwell that I'm talking about the connectors, there's different terms that they have. TD had implemented that, and we had gotten it to a point where everything was working smoothly. And every one of us knew our roles, we knew our boundaries, we knew what to do to get the team together. And lo and behold, you get changes coming in. And when I left, my whole leadership team left. I held that team together. Jason Peel went to England. Sam Jerry's went with him. I cried. I said, "Please take me to England. I don't want to stay here." They said, "We can't take you. They won't let us take you." I said, "This is not fair. I don't want to stay here." So once Jason left, they let me go. And that culture, that bringing in that culture change, it's very, very hard. It takes a long, long time. It's harder than people think. And we all loved each other. So what did they do? They got rid of me. "Oh, she's too close to the executive. Too close, too close." They don't want people to like me. I fought for so many years to try to get back to working with Michael Stein at HSBC. He forwarded my name so many times. No. "Oh no, nobody must like her. There mustn't be any special relationship." That's why your companies don't work. Because you don't want anybody to like each other. You don't want anybody to form good relationships. And when people try to bring in good people, you don't want it. You look at all these other companies like CIBC Mellon and all of that. They bring in all their friends and everyone, and their companies tank. Because we liked each other, but we held each other accountable. And that's the difference. So if you can't hold each other accountable and you can't have diverse teams working together, your company is not going to work. That's why my managers fought for me to keep me at Teleperformance. Do you think I like working in minimum wage? I don't. But people in this town, in this village of Canada know who I worked with. So they don't want to employ me. And it's not fair to me. It's not fair that I should be kept out of the banking industry and the financial institutions because people like me. It's very unfair. I think it's very unfair, especially if I do my work and I do a good job and I have good values. I don't discriminate. I work well with Muslims, with Hindus, with Catholics, with Jews. I work well with everybody. And I'm fair with people. Oh no, there's no budget. There's a budget for everybody else except for me. That's exactly what happened. It started at TD and it just continued and continued and continued. And I'm like, what the hell? I mean, really? But at least they managed to keep me at Teleperformance because I got sick of it. And it's not nice working on minimum wage. How are you supposed to pay your rent? Rents in Toronto on average are $3,000. I'm talking about apartments, not condominiums where you, like I have with my washer dryer inside. Apartments where you have to share your laundry with other people. It's not fair what they did to me on the Sprint campaign. And it wasn't fair of them to threaten to have me removed from the company. But they did that, and they do it even now on the calls that we get. They tell us, I'm going to have you removed from there. I know so-and-so at this company who you're working for, and we're going to take you off there. The managers sometimes have to fight to keep us, the ones who are experienced and who are good and who know our jobs and know what we're doing. Because of these people who have these kinds of relationships. And it's evil. The same way as what Hamas has done in Israel is evil. It's not right. It's not right when people like me, who are innocent, have our lives and our reputation spoiled because of other people and their relationships. Oh no, but this woman is sensitive, so we have to look after her. So you have to look after her, but Belinda can land up on the street for all you care. That's the attitude. That's the attitude that was there at Credit Suisse. That's the attitude that was there at TD. And Credit Suisse gave me nothing. When I left my contract there, I made it clear they were not to follow me. They were not to call any of my places of employment, and they didn't stop. So it went on and on and on, and now who's suffering? Me and my mother. They did the same thing to my mother that's been done to me. You get to a point where you get sick of it. What about me? What about my sensitivity? What about my credentials? What about my life? What about my future? What about my pension? It's not right. At Credit Suisse, there were no non-white executive assistants. I was the one on the contract there. And all of the guys were white. There was one Asian guy, but all of the rest of them were white, except for Eddie Farid. So, the big boys, the old boys club, supporting who they want to get in. Your credentials are not enough. And you can't tell me, oh, it's not discrimination. Yes, it is. Because I've got the credentials. I've got the experience. I know how to find red flags for anti-money laundering. I know the tricks. I know what they do. I know it because when we deal with our orders and we deal with people calling in, we get fraud orders all the time. We get red flag orders all the time. We get websites that are fake all the time. People claiming to be part of us selling our products and they're not related to us at all. So it's discrimination. Maybe things have changed at TD now. They brought in all this leadership for black people, and now they're trying to support all of us. It wasn't like that when I was there. My managers used to cry. Michelle Paradis, Jean de Gagne, Heather Edwards, they used to cry. Didn't change anything. HR was, oh no, you can't give her any special treatment. It didn't matter to them that I came here as a refugee, that I was single, that I was a caregiver, that I had I just bought my place and they let me go. And no one helped open doors for me. And when they tried to get me into companies, like they tried at BMO, they tried at HSBC, I got those contracts on my own. When they tried to keep me, people made sure I was let go. Get out of the way and let the people who are good get the good jobs and earn the six-figure salaries that we want to earn. Just because I'm a spiritual director doesn't mean I don't have bills to pay, and I don't want to travel first class, and I don't want to do the things that other people get to do, or I don't want to get my license, or I don't want to own a car. It's very, very unfair to make me keep starting at the bottom. And every time I get to a place where I can actually start saving or actually start doing something, everybody else is more important. Well, I am also important. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of watching the Jewish community suffer, and I'm sick of my life suffering because I stand up for the Jewish community. It's not right. What's the point of studying and educating yourself and putting in the hours, volunteering? What's the point of doing it all if you're going to land up bankrupt and you're going to land up broke? What's the point? There's no point. You can say, oh, put your faith in God. Yeah, put your faith in God, but also systemic injustice has to end. And I'm glad artists like Bono are standing up to it. I'm glad other artists stand up to it. Because it's not right. It's not right. Things have to change. Right here in Canada, things have to change. And I want them to change for me.